Welcome back to the State and Local Sports Show. I'm here with Mark Tennis, co-founder and editor of Cal High Sports. And this week, your weekly column that you kindly do for the record, you talk a bit about High School Hall of Fame, something a lot of high schools have, some who don't probably should. If you could, without kind of revealing the whole column, touch on what you talked about, especially focusing on this area.
Well, when focusing on this area is kind of interesting because halls of fame and high schools come in all shapes and sizes. I mean, a lot of schools have them that are not sport specific, like Edison and Franklin. And then St. Mary's actually has two different halls of fame. They have one for athletes and coaches and administrators, and they have one for non-athletes and everybody in the school. So it's kind of interesting to kind of compare the two. The reason I thought this week was a good week to do it is because St. Mary's is playing Lincoln, and Lincoln is probably the one school in the area that really doesn't have a hall of fame, and it has no hall of fame. And they probably should, and kind of offering some suggestions on why every school should have a Hall of Fame. They're very good for fundraising, and the most important reason is it really connects the current students at a school to their history.
Absolutely. We talked before about where you could put them. I mean, they have one of the most beautiful high school football stadiums you can see, and Spanish Stadium could be there. A lot of modern schools have gyms with big foyers, with the exception to St. Mary's and Manteca, who have those old school gyms. That's a nice place to have one as well. And, I mean, you look at schools that have them and don't. There's so many players or athletes from this area. You look at Webster Slaughter from Franklin, J.D. Hill from Edison. There's all kinds of choices there. Now, we're into – I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, you just mentioned Franklin, and reading through their Hall of Fame, Ron Santo, Mr. Cub, is from Franklin High School, which I didn't even know until reading that. Yeah,
wow.
It said that. I didn't even know that.
That's not a fake shock. I really didn't know that.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I was reading through it. I'm going, I didn't know he was from Franklin, but he's from Franklin. And Mr. Cub himself, I didn't know.
He's so Mr. Cub, I would have thought he was born in the bullpen.
You would think so, but I was stunned to read that. I don't know why I never knew that before, but even all the stuff we do historically at Cal High Sports, there's some things that they're going to slip by, and that one did.
Yeah, that's pretty fascinating. And we're heading into the final week of high school football season. That was, as I wrote a little bit today, sometimes the NFL gets into week 17 and it's just boring. Backup guys are playing to protect Peyton Manning and that kind of thing. But a ton of great playoff stakes in the area this week, and we're going to kind of do what we did last week, talk about some certain games and some predictions. For the first time in 11 years, rivals Lincoln and St. Mary's meet in week 10 of the season with some type of a league championship at stake. It's for an outright league title, all the marbles, St. Mary's at Lincoln. Mark, I was at Lincoln's 3-touchdown win over Tracy last week, and I've never seen their offense look so smooth, so rhythmic, and I've never seen them play so well in general. I think this is going to be a much closer game than when I first looked at the schedule, but I still have to give the slight nod to St. Mary's, which seems to be playing its best football here in late October, early November. What are your thoughts on this game?
This game is always very emotional. Lincoln players always come out with a great chip on their shoulder. One of these days, they're going to beat St. Mary's, but it's probably not going to be this year, and you're really never going to pick Lincoln to win this game until they actually do show they can win it, and they haven't shown they can win it in quite a while. St. Mary's just seems to always have the answers in this game, and they have a lot of young players at St. Mary's, junior quarterback, junior running back, and I think they're just kind of coming into their own, getting a little bit better, and I think they're just a better team.
A couple of interesting notes here. You mentioned it's been a while. It's been 11 consecutive times St. Mary's has won here. Lincoln coach Brian Gray was a St. Mary's assistant before he got his first head gig, so a little bit of intrigue here. And one thing Lincoln had last week, they got this guy, McQuan Maxey, who's a 6'3", 215-pound tight end who's got some great hands. You don't really see a lot of great tight ends in the high school game, so I think they're going to need to utilize him to create some mismatches. Now, over in the San Joaquin Athletic Association, Stagg goes to reigning champion Chavez. Here are the stakes. Stagg wins. It's the outright SJA champion. Chavez wins. It creates a three-way tie and all kinds of tie-breaking stuff I talked about in my prep notebook today. We can get into that more in written form. But this is a game last year where Stagg stopped Chavez's unbeaten run and clinched a playoff spot. Chavez has a chance for a little revenge this year. Obviously, the Titans know what they're doing. They had McNair on the ropes, lost by 4 points because of a last-second touchdown from Osai Brown to Darian Grimm. I think Stagg will take this one, but in another close one, what are your thoughts?
I think Stagg, like St. Mary's, is just a better team this year. Chavez did play very well and played like a defending champion should play last week. I just remember that Franklin game where they won only 14-6. And I just think, Stagg has too many weapons, and I think the only way I think that Chavez is going to be in this game is if they get some turnovers. That's pretty much it.
Over in the Valley Oak League, Weston Ranch looking for its first postseason appearance in a decade, only its second all-time as a varsity football program. To do so, they have to go to Sierra's house, a team that's the co-defending VOL champion, and a team coming off a rough loss. They lost 37-35 to Lathrop last week, trying to stay in the VOL chase. 2 weeks ago, I picked Weston Ranch to finish out with wins and win this game. Man, Sierra, with their offensive output last week, has given me second guesses how well they stuck with Lathrop, but I got to stick with my guns from a couple weeks ago here. I'll take Weston Ranch by the tiniest of hairs. How about you?
I'll take Sierra. I took them last week and they lost, but I'll take them again. Again, I like the way they played with their backs against the wall. They played very well. They definitely could have won that game, and I think they're just a little bit better football team.
We don't usually touch on games outside of the area because we have so many high schools here, but this one is big enough to do it. Two Valley Oak League foes of a ton of area teams. Central Catholic hosts Oakdale, a battle of unbeatens. These teams 18-0 overall combined, 10-0 in the VOL combined. Central Catholic, I believe, is at number 2 in the state in the Cal High Sports Division III rankings.
Yeah, it was funny because as the results were coming, it looked like number 1 Camarillo was going to lose, but then Camarillo ended up winning. So this is going to be number 2 versus number 3 in that division. The other thing to keep in mind is they're probably going to play again in the Sac-Joaquin section Division III playoffs. It's probably slated to meet again. Wouldn't be a big surprise. This game is at Central, and I think Central is a little bit better team. In fact, I think this could be the best Central team they've ever had, and that's saying a lot. But they're moving up in a higher division. Their offense has Hunter Petlansky at quarterback. They can throw, they can run. They have Rice at running back. They've just got a really complete football team, both sides of the ball. And I think this could be one of maybe the best team they've ever had. It may not win state because they're going to be in a higher division, but I think it's better than some of the teams that have won state the last couple of years.
Yeah, a lot of the early scores I'm seeing from media outlets in the low 30s, everyone seems to be just slightly leaning towards Central Catholic. I'd have to agree, partially just because I've heard their lines are much improved from last year. I've heard it's deceiving that they're a lot bigger than you think. They have more depth, and that was the problem last year. That's why they got beat up so badly by Oakdale when they played. What are your thoughts on the outcome of this game, given the stakes and everything that surrounds it?
I'll pick Central Catholic playing at home. I'm going to go to the game myself and check it out. Whenever you get two 9-0s playing each other to end the regular season, there's just something special in the air when that happens, and this is one that's not to be missed.
Looking ahead to basketball season here, we've talked a bit about girls basketball. At boys basketball and practice that I think we talked about starts next week. The Valley Oak League should be huge in this area. Manteca has 3 potential Division I type recruits in Kenny Wooten, 6'8", Anand Tandal, which is I think 6'9" or 6'10", and Titus Verhoeven, who's a 6'7" wing. Wooten's already verbally committed to Nevada. He's supposed to sign there next Wednesday. Weston Ranch, a lot of talent as well. Guards Jalen Ragsdale and Fred Lavender both going to Stanislaus State. And you also got 6'9" Anthony Booker, a Chavez transfer. He's headed over to Monterey Bay. When basketball season starts for you guys, Mark, what does that entail? What kind of things are you featuring this time of year, and what are you looking forward to?
We do some player rankings that have already come out, and then we're looking to a lot of the preseason rankings. The preseason rankings we will do will have a national flavor to it initially with our Fab 50 that I help with Ronnie Flores, who does the grassrootshoops.net website. That's actually coming out tomorrow on Wednesday, and then we'll have top 20, 25 teams in the state, all ranked in order, and then we'll have a little bit of a look at each division. Those are as much studying how the divisions change, who's going to be in what divisions, and how that all works out. And of course, now we have the open divisions in boys and girls basketball, so that makes it a little bit even more complicated. But you're looking at the top teams. I mean, statewide, there's some phenomenal boys teams. Like Chino Hills, Sierra Canyon are the top 2. And then in girls, St. Mary's right here is easily preseason number 1. Probably should be preseason number 1 in the nation. But those are the kind of the things we're looking at.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us yet again. CalHighSports.com. Their gold membership, less than $20 a year, less than $2 a month. You get all the state record books, rankings, all of their premium content. Thanks for joining us, Mark.
Thanks again, Thomas.